Welcome to White Label American Podcast. This is a podcast that brings you bold, in-depth interviews with interesting people that are mostly immigrants taking down artificial walls one story at a time. This is a podcast that empowers immigrants to share their stories and listen to those of others. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to another episode of White Label American. Thank you all for joining us today. I am your host, Raphael Harry, and I have two distinguished and wonderful women who are amongst my favorite women in the studio today. One is visiting New York for the first time, and the other is a second time. Well, we'll treat it as first time because it's the first time in the studio for both of them. So they were both on episode 87. So if you want to get the full gist about their origins and why they're amongst my favorite women, please check that episode out and then come back. Or you can check this episode out first and then go to episode 87. With that being said, will y'all introduce yourselves?
Oh, hi, my name is Amaka. And
my name is Jennifer. Hello, thanks for having us again.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome. Oh, the pleasure's all mine. I'm glad to have you all here. So, how y'all doing? How's New York treating you all?
Do you want the honest version of
That's why we're here, right?
Well, I think that will be a story for another day. But so far, we're enjoying the weather. The weather's been lovely. Mm-hmm. And it's been nice seeing different things. But yeah, it's good and bad.
Well, why you said different things?
For example, I think we've had weird experiences with don't want to be very, very particular, but I mean some people we realized that obviously we've come from a very polite society, so we kind of expected the same. For example, when mistakenly you hit someone or you brush someone, as you're saying sorry, the person at the same time is saying to you, oh, okay, it's fine, because obviously you are in a small space. And for example, in the metro, in the train, it's loads and loads of people, and then we've got bags, and then you can mistakenly brush someone, and they're like, "Excuse me," it's so aggressive.
Okay, no, that's just one particular episode. I think when we first came here, when Amaka first came, she had these high expectations. Okay, let me just be blunt. African American people.
Okay.
Because you hear the stereotypes about them and you think, oh, that's just people, they don't understand them, But since we've been in the US, every negative experience we've had has been with African American people. And I said to Chamaka, maybe it's a New York African American people. When we're going to California, we'll see what they're like. So let's not paint everyone with the same brush. It's from the airport when we landed. It's been our experience in New York. It's been not just our experience, but also experience of us witnessing other people with them, and also witnessing our experience with other races, Latina races, the white. We've had a completely different experience with every single. We've had some people who are from a different race literally walk us all the way to the station to help us. We didn't ask them. They would say, yeah, we'll just help you. But I don't know. Like I said, story for another day. That's not why we're here. Let's not tarnish and
we got a little bit serious at the beginning. But I would say at the airport, many people always have tales at the airport, and I know of someone who I consider a friend who came to the city not for the first time, but it was like first time after the pandemic, and there's always tales from the airport. He's black, by the way, from a southern state. And so when he arrived at the airport, took a taxi, and he said he knew he got because the taxi driver was delaying, taking longer routes and all that. So that's part of being God. But sometimes they read you. I don't think it's only limited to African Americans. But I understand what you're saying. But I'm just through a caveat that there's this energy that New York has, and
I don't know, probably if it's because of like how the city obviously is hustling and bustling, everything is busy, people need to like there's not enough time, or just because it's so busy. So if you are saying like wasting time, for example, the experience at the airport is just literally we've made our order and we had bags, so we're just trying to like get the things off, and the girl was like, what was that? What she said was, "Excuse me, miss," or something like that, like in such an aggressive way, like. And I was thinking, like kind of like
that's
move.
what we're doing. We're trying to
literally,
move.
we were trying to
Oh,
move,
so
and
she's
she was
trying to
like,
get you all out of
and she
there.
was like, move, like she was like, no, come on, you saw us, we were with bags, we cannot just literally up and go in a few seconds, and we're just trying to like get stuff at the same time. So I was just thinking probably is maybe she didn't look properly before she said move, or it kind of like puts me off, to be honest. And I was like, but to be honest, in other aspects, when we went DC, most of the people we met were friendly. They waved at us, random people waved at us and said hi to us, and they were smiling and all that.
Maybe you look like celebrities.
No, but this is what I'm saying. Maybe it's the New York African American. Maybe if you go to other parts of America, it's going to be a nicer experience.
Well, which parts of New York have you been to?
I don't know what they're called. I forget them when I go past
we're,
them. I
we're
have no
probably,
idea.
We're obviously it's called Bode. That's like a village.
Oh, even where we were?
Yeah,
Oh,
we didn't obviously it's mostly white people area where we went. We were in
Bode.
Yeah, that's where I just mentioned, the village, Binghamton. And now we are in the city. And obviously we've come from New Jersey. So when we went Washington as well, it was a black area, and that was it was a calm. I saw people out on the streets. It's been long I've seen people out on the street just having a chat with the neighbors, and I really wanted to walk around, but we didn't have enough time because we came late, and we just had only one day to do Washington and get back to New York. So in that experience, I think maybe when you see people in their normal habitat in their home area, it's different from when you see them in the city. So everybody has something going on with them. So obviously, I think if you see the people in the chilled area, their homes, or where they're with friends, or where they are just like you, like for the first time going to that place, I think it's more friendly than when you see people in official or in a work mode. Once they're in a work mode, I think that's the difference. Work mode, working hours, and just professional type of thing. Yeah. People tend to be like short and they don't really have time. But if you see people in like touristy area or in a leisurely area or at home, people tend to be nicer and more welcoming. So
that's something. Okay, that's the point that I have considered, but. Yeah.
I bet you regret asking that question.
Nah, I don't. No way. However, I'll just say that the whole, maybe you guys met the wrong ones, or it was the day for you guys to just, all the wrong ones were out on that day. You guys were attracting the wrong ones. Well, however, maybe we'll see how when this recording is done. Maybe I'll show you guys one or two places nearby, and you see you might have a change of thought. But
we're still very open minded. No. Obviously, it's just like a very tiny, minuscule percentage of the whole people. So we can't just say this is what the whole experience.
No, I get it. Yeah. I get it. But that's for the audience to understand where you guys are coming from. Did you guys follow? So let's step away from New York for a little bit.
Okay.
Did you guys follow the Nigerian general elections this past February and March? And for the audience who do not know, both women were born in Nigeria.
Oh yes, I did. Nigerian politics has always been something I've followed since I was a kid. So
do we have a choice?
I just remember it sometimes. Yeah, when I look back, I was like, because my mom is very big on current affairs. So I remember the very first conference I watched, that was supposed to be either ANPP at the time, and Okadibo was the flagship politician, I think, with Obasanjo and all. They had a meeting, and in the middle of the conference, because it's a conference where they have to vote who is going to be the flag bearer for the president and vice president and all. So in the middle of that, at night, I don't know what happened, whether they sidelined the Igbos. And
equipment. It was equipment that was supposed to be.
Yeah, and then he came and he said, I'm going with my Igbo brothers. So all the Igbos left the conference. I remember I was tiny watching it on NT, and guess what, it was on the black and white TV at the time. This was like early 2000s, and then obviously we followed it consistently to the Imo State governorship election. I remember we were all invested because we didn't like the guy. At the time, his name is Hakim. So what we use in remembering him is when he was very, very, very strict about environmentals. During his time as a governor, Imo State was so clean. We had buses and things, but people didn't really trust him because their preferred candidate obviously is like what happened this year. He won, and then we went to bed and woke up and we had a new governor. Yeah. So people didn't really like him. And then what they use in remembering him is obviously during the environmentals, his motto was suffer a little, enjoy forever. So I always say that to Jenny. Anytime it was like, suffer a little, enjoy forever. And then that was when Rochas came.
Oh, Lord.
Rochas came. At the time, he had his free school. So everybody was like, oh my God, Rochas is the best, blah, 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 blah. And we all mass voted Hakim out. So that was the very first time in a democratic election where the sitting governor had lost. Mm-hmm. So everybody made sure, but then Rochas came and showed everybody shaggy. So he's like, so now we don't really trust. So that has always been a thing for me. And then following this whole election, I'll just say very sorry, big sorry to a lot of Nigerians, because we're among the people that supported Buhari for 2015, and we're like, no, Jonathan has to go.
Oh, you're my
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm very, very sorry. We didn't know what we were thinking, and at the time we were protesting against removal of subsidy, and we used to make fun jokes. But now we're beginning to realize that Jonathan was a good person for us. His wife was politically savvy, even though she wasn't educated. She's a very smart woman, and the fact that Obasanjo what handpicked Jonathan, I always consider Obasanjo as the most intelligent Nigerian president ever had, because of the way he ran things, agencies he handpicked, and he picked the most intelligent people. We're looking at the likes of Akunyili running NAFDAC at the time. Yeah. Dora, what's her other name? Finance
Okonjo-Iweala.
Yeah, all the people
that's
we know now. That
World Bank Director General.
So all the people that we know now that did Nigeria great, most of them came from Obasanjo, directly from Obasanjo. So he's someone who sat down and said, how do we pick the best brains in the country to move it forward? And obviously it was during his time that MTN and GSM and all those things came in. So now it's, to me, I feel like if Obasanjo talks about anything, if anybody wants any political advice, just listen to Obasanjo, because he's the best we've had. I hope we have a repeat. But then now, with the disappointment that is going on with Peter Obi and all, I remember when the initial votes started coming in, I was sitting down, but Jenny wasn't there, with Jenny's last sister. She's like, we are buddies. So we were there just watching the whole thing, and both of us actually started crying because we thought Peter Obi was going to win. And both of us were like, oh my God, if this guy wins, it means that Nigerians are ready. Everybody wants change. People are tired of corruption. Everybody just wants things. So both of us were like, we're so emotional. And then we went to bed and woke up. We had a new president. So now he's disappointing, but I think everything now is a learning process. I love the fact that a lot of people kind of like took screenshots, kind of like in their own way, kind of like took notes, because they weren't trusting of the process. So with the whole discrepancies going with the IREF portal and what people actually saw, so I'm kind of like proud of Nigerians at this point, because they were like, okay, you've been sworn in, but we are still going to be behind Peter Obi, however long the process takes. Because before Peter Obi became the governor of Anambra State, he was also rigged, but then he had to go to court to get his mandate. Yeah. So everyone is following that. It's like, okay, if it happened, maybe this may be. So I have a bit of hope in saying this may be a new Nigeria if we are all saying, okay, it's fine, let's go through the due process. So And I feel sorry for the president and his team, because even though he looks like he's won, I don't think he has a lot of support. And I haven't seen his supporters actually publicly rejoicing. So there's something there. It's like I haven't seen them like be, yes, we won, yes, we won. It's like everyone is quiet because they are not sure. So I like the fact that the whole team, the whole president team is kind of like presidential team. They're kind of like, I don't know, they're not comfortable where they are right now, because the majority of the country is like looking to see what happens. And everyone is saying, Peter Obi says, no fighting, no protests. Let us go with the due process. And most Nigerians, no matter how angry they are, like, let us go through the due process. We're going to support him. We are patient with him. We're going to wait to see how long this plays out. So I like where the whole national psyche is. I like it. It's hopeful for me. And I think we are ready. We are really ready to get to the next step.
Me, when it comes to politics, I should be embarrassed to say this, I don't know. But I've never been into Nigerian politics. I know of one or two leaders. I know of Obasanjo. But I don't follow in terms of setting my time out to, to see what's going on. The only information I get from the Nigerian politics is videos and memes of what people send me about them on WhatsApp. That's it. That's the only knowledge I know. So I can't really give my input, I'm afraid. Sorry.
Yeah, the whole Nigerian politics thing, like it gets to a point where you decide it can drain you.
Yes, it does.
can
It's
drain you.
emotionally. I remember I was
It's
so
mad
like,
stressful,
yeah,
and-
it can give you, it can cause depression in some aspects, because you have this hope, and everybody was so sure, because this INEC, they were giving huge funds and they were giving like a big budget
And
to
the
make
guy
it.
traveled around the world,
Yeah.
telling people that,
Yeah.
he instilled confidence in the
Yeah,
populace.
yeah.
So-
Everyone, because obviously INEC said, this time around is going to be electronic. We're going to do everything on the internet to promote transparency.
Because Kenya held their election, which
Yeah.
I followed.
Yeah.
And yes, it was disputed, but I think the guy just loved to dispute stuff. He's never accepted that he ever lost an election. However, that was like an example that if Kenya got theirs right, and Nigeria is about to use this similar model of electronic voting, then there's hope. And
But they still found a way to tamper with it. So it's like,
they did the broad daylight robbery.
Yes.
I was following the
Yes.
whole thing, and
Yes.
I was like, okay, this is
Yes.
it's a two-pronged attack. Yes, one way is just the outright rigging. Typical, this people who want to win should win, and at the same time, it's meant to discourage future voters from voting. To discourage the people who they consider to be their threats from showing up to the polls, because if you discredit the institution, you destroy the faith in the
Yes.
power of voting, which is the biggest protest. It's actually voting is
yes.
a protest.
Yes.
It's a powerful protest tool,
Yes.
which for some reason we don't talk of it like that. But for some reason we don't. It's never been in Nigerian language to consider voting that way. So it's always cool to make sure you weaken that institution, and then people stop showing up to vote.
And I think what made this election very significant is it was just on the back, like you said, voting is a protest. So this is a continuation of NSAS. That's what we saw in this election. Because and at the same time, the Gen Zs were able to vote for the very first time. Most of them turned 18, most of them were in early 20s. And there was a very funny Twitter video I saw where somebody was like, Gen Zs don't they watch channels? Oh. So it's like, if Gen Zs can leave their TikTok and start watching channels and all this
Leave their
news,
Premier League
yeah,
and
leave
stuff
and
like
start watching. It means somebody said his brother actually brought out a spreadsheet and was doing his calculations, saying, no, this is not right, and these are like Gen Zs. So it's like, okay, if this can spark political interest in the younger ones, and they're like very militant about it, and they're like, this is what we want. To me, I just see it as a positive way. There's so much that you can do to keep people down. You cannot naturally keep people down for a long time. Another thing is Nigerians generally, we are not very, very, in terms of protest, we are not very violent people. For example, if something like this happened in South Africa, you would have had buildings burning and people would have been on the streets. So we are more like, we talk more, and it's our nature to like talk more as opposed to go. It's unless you push us to the brim, and that's what happened with NSAS, because they were killing the young ones. We're like, okay, now we have to come out and fight. We don't care how many of us you kill, but we just want you to stop killing us. So ever since then, I think the assault from the police on the young people has a bit reduced. It hasn't gone away,
No.
but they are very wary now because everybody's now keeping an eye on them. What do you want to do? Like, we'll record you and we'll make sure we track you. We'll make sure we hold you responsible. You can no longer shoot and say, oh, it was accidental discharge. So that's one thing that this election has really brought for me. And in a way, I kind of like moved away from the negative feelings I had for a very long time. And I started looking at the positive aspects. So I'm like, it's fine. I'm happy. It's calmed down. I'm very big on Twitter. And I tend to kind of like read the social polls on like what's going on the timeline. So I'm not saying that's the correct answer, but I just think at this point, a lot of people are like, it's fine, let us follow the due process. So that's why a lot of people are like calm.
Do you think that now there is like a light at the end of the tunnel for Nigeria, in the sense that there's that glimpse that there could be something in the future, maybe not in our lifetime, but the foundation or something has started?
The fact that they were able to sensitize the fact that every young person started talking about politics. Before, Nigerians didn't care about politics. It's always trending. When you go to the trends map, that's a very good indicator. You have something seriously happening politically, and they're trending Premier League, Black Big Brother Nigeria, and musicians, this person versus this person.
Yeah.
But now, during the heat, if you even try to promote your business, people will come for you. They tell you, calm down. You can keep your business. We have a fight in front of us. So people were like, even those that didn't want to get involved, you were somehow involved without like, you were involved involuntarily either ways, because people will push it on you. And another thing that kind of like made it very significant for me is a lot of people were like, now we know who our friends are. Now we know how certain friends think. After this election, I saw loads and loads of tweets that I said after elections, a lot of friendships will be damaged. This. So now we are taking it personally. This 4 years ago, you wouldn't have gotten it. Like, I beg, I need to go and chop. Oh, is that one? Yeah. But now everybody's now saying that. And I think it has started from the NSAS, the Twitter ban, and they were like thinking, oh my God, if we are not awake, these people are going to obliterate us. So it's just, NSAS was a big eye-opener. It's like, we can coordinate, we can change, we can withstand. It gave us a taste of what it looks like when people are like, no, we don't want to have this. This is what we want. And once it was like, it militarized a lot of people. And then obviously seeing the mass exodus of Nigerians going overseas, working and living there, and seeing how things are working, they are feeding back. Because not a lot of people, if you check on I saw a lot of TikToks last winter, people crying, going to work in the snow and video. They're like, if this country was good, we would not be in the snow. Blah, 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 blah. So it's just with the whole exposure. I love the fact that people are going and they're like, no, we need to fix home. We need to fix home. This is not a place for us. So this one thing I love about what's happening from the NSAS to the Twitter ban to this election. And the fact that everybody keeps bringing receipts, everybody's researching now. If a popular broadcasting channel, anything, puts out anything, everybody's fact checks. If they've after fact checking, they'll come and say, no, you are lying. Especially what's happened with the Nigerian airlines.
God,
it was within 48 hours.
Wow, that
it was dismantled.
My man already proved that. It was so funny. But,
So
if you're not aware, listeners, go check it out. Because there's, I'm not going to say the name of the page on Instagram, but I have one of my favorite listeners, and she's not from Nigeria, and She once sent me a post from that page, and I was like, "Yeah, I know that page on Instagram. I used to follow them a long time ago. It's one of these, Africa is great, Africa is this pages." But they are the type that would have. I don't know if they did the Nigerian airline thing, but they would have probably said, "Look at Nigeria as a new airline. Look at fabulous world class airline." And but you who knows, you're like, you're just telling people this is a lie. You're not telling people the truth, but you're gonna say black power. Look at the new airline, Africa. And I'm like that's just fitting into the inferiority complex. And you're just putting it out there because it's just it's from Nigeria, so it's ultimate, it's fantastic, it's great, so we cannot critique it because it's Nigeria, so it's great, world class. And it's like, no, it's fault. There's a lot of faults in there. It's like the Dangote refinery. People know. I've been pointing out certain things, and you are still like, the richest man in Africa has a refinery. Yeah, this is it. Africa going forward. Like, no, it's not even Nigeria going forward, but the same people you are criticizing in America if there's subsidies given to black farmers, but you are now saying it's great to give the richest man in Africa $2.5 billion, which is on top of the other billions that he has been given, but that's a whole different economic. So, when I see pages like that pop up and I ask them, like, okay, which country are you from? Who's the person in your country that's your richest? Is it okay if I give that person this amount of money to bring some value to your country? Then they're like, hell no. So I'm like, so why is it cool if Nigeria is doing the same thing?
I'm always very wary. I know I'm going to come across a certain way, but I'm always very wary of people who over promote blackness.
Oh, you shouldn't.
Black business, black this, black that. Don't get me wrong. It's nice for our people, but I think a lot of people take advantage of that and use that because it's like charity. Charity is a wonderful thing to give to charity, but then there are people who their charity is not really, they shouldn't be seen as charity. So I'm always wary, like, who are the genuine ones that deserve something and who are the ones that don't?
Exactly.
Because there's some people that bring out any kind of business, but because they paint it as black-owned business, the business, when you go and use that service, you end up looking like the fool. Like, I should have just gone to someone else. Why did I go? Because it said black business. But then going back to what you're saying about promoting, or because I'm not fact-checking, I think we need to be careful when we are coming across things like this. It's so easy to want to believe in something and believe the hype because it's part of us and we want to look good. But at the same time, let's just not be taken as, idiots, and let's not be foolish and call a spade a spade. If something is happening and if that black business is not doing well, don't try and promote it so other people can fall victim to that business. Just leave it. If you don't have anything good to say, just don't say anything. Just don't rather than promote things. So I'm very wary when websites and things like that say, this, that, hyping things. Yeah, it's easy to fall into that trap. So basically what I'm saying is just be aware and just be careful.
Yeah, let me cut in here. I think if you watch this show called The Black Woman Sketch Show.
Oh.
Yes, they kind of like had an episode about this where they went to a black restaurant.
I think I've seen that. Yes.
So it's not like people know. And that's why you have Google reviews for something. I was so impressed when I went to Nigeria from like 2020, 2019. I think they just realized this Google review and everybody can like leave a review on there. So once you just go put any business, you see the ratings straight away. And these are people who have been there. So sometimes they leave long reviews and stuff. And it's happening in Nigeria at the same time. So now you can, instead of like going and falling prey, you can easily just put the name of the business and then you see the ratings and people actually say what they've got and all that. I think we are moving away from herd wokeism or from herd.
Sorry to interrupt you. Sorry to interrupt you there, because to me, that's not necessarily true. And I'll give you an example. Okay. I don't want to bait anybody out, but Airbnb that we stayed at, the reviews were fantastic. And not people leaving that review. I love their pictures were black people. And I was thinking, like me, I'm not going to leave any review because I'd rather not than say my honest opinion about that place. But my thing is, why hype this place so much so when the place is less than basic? Because it's a black Airbnb, or I don't know what. Maybe that's not why. Maybe it's just me being silly. But what I'm saying is, sometimes when you say people leave reviews, sometimes those reviews are not honest, because I went there thinking, yes, the reviews are wonderful, it's nice, but
I was gonna bring up the
know?
human factor.
No, but if we are looking at
I
it,
get the point you're making.
because me personally, I look at things mathematically. That's how I think. So based on that Airbnb, this Airbnb has got so many postings, but where we are at the moment is the least stars it's got. It's because it's from like, of all the stars, you have 4.9, 4.8. That particular room where we are, even though people left glowing reviews, it was the lowest of all the apartments. Yes.
No, but sorry to interrupt again. You're talking about that room. I have no problems with the room. It's the rest of the place that I have a problem with. So when people are leaving their reviews, they're not just talking about the room. When you go to an Airbnb, you don't just review the room. You review. You're talking about everything else. You're talking about the kitchen. You're talking about the bathroom. You're talking about everything. You don't just talk about the room. To be fair, the room we're staying in is much better than the whole house. So if it's just for the room, I'll give him a good point.
Maybe people were just thinking about the room.
But that's why I said maybe I'm being silly. That's what I'm saying. Maybe I'm being silly. But this is what I'm trying to say now is, when you watch people's reviews, sometimes they make it look like, oh yeah, it's good. It's this. It's
and that's why me personally, if I'm going to get anything based on reviews, what I do is I see the glowing ones, but then I go to the most recent ones, and then I go and see the most critical. So I compare to see the most recent ones and the most critical. I see the timeline, and then I compare it versus the glowing ones. So if you have the most recent tying at the same time with the most critical, obviously it's a red flag. Because if the glowing ones were from earlier days, I'm like, okay, balance it out. It's not working. But then if I'm about to make up my mind, I check the critical ones, check positive, negative. Because some people can be fussy as well. Something that may not be a problem for you, another person can write the whole page criticizing that whole thing.
Yes.
So that's what I kind of like tend to like always try to say, balance things out. So if it's more recent and there is more positive reviews with the more recent ones, I'm like, okay, I'll give it a go. And another thing again we check again is the price.
Yeah.
So that was it's one of the cheapest we found in New Jersey. Okay. So when you compare to the price as well, it's like, you can obviously, for the price you're getting it at, something should be wrong with the place.
No, my point. No. You're missing my point. Though. You're missing what my point is if I was to go to another Airbnb of the same kind of standard, I know the kind of reviews I use Airbnb. We use Airbnb all the time for work.
So
and I'm used to
can sponsor this podcast.
No, so I look at reviews and I've stayed in places, good places, bad places, and I see how the reviews reflect on the property. But what I'm saying is, with this property, as I said, am I being silly now to think the review is not reflecting? Is it because we're trying to protect our own? It's my point, is what I'm trying to say. Because
I wouldn't consider you silly. I think there's
skeptical, basically.
There's this part of us that feels we need to protect our own, like you said, right? Yes. But it comes into conflict. Like, okay, I'll give you an example. So the guy who stole my podcast equipment before I started White Label American, right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was, we ended up going to court. I won.
Okay.
The court ruled in my favor. I have to collect the money from him. And then, it was around the George Floyd protest. That's when the court had sent me the letter that if he hasn't still paid me, I can go get the marshal of his city and go get him. And it's like, no, but I've been to George Floyd protest now. I'm like, Black Lives Matter. So I'm like, but now I have to go get police now and go grab a black man, and then but if then you go and see a fellow Nigerian, but he stole from me, right?
Yes.
Well, you don't want to go hold your own person accountable. But you're saying hold the government accountable.
Exactly.
Hold every other person accountable. But now it comes to your own black person, and you're like, well, guilty conscience.
Yeah, it's true.
No, but if I say my wife should go get the marshal, then the black one, I'm telling the person who's not black to go get. So that's one reason why I just refuse to go after him.
And I'll take this I'll take this one step further, and I might offend a lot of people. But you know where they say snitches get stitches?
Oh, that's a stupid saying.
That's That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
That's a stupid
And
thing.
we just do it
If you
ourselves.
come and attack me now, or like you touch my daughter now, and I know you might be black, brown, whatever, I will call the police on you.
But this is the thing. We're not just talking about you. We're talking about the other black people who no, they will not go and say something. Is what I'm saying. Because they're trying to.
I disagree there, because if you look, I get a lot of, I follow a lot of stories. If you're outside of social media, in the real world, people be talking.
Well, that's good then.
People talk.
That's good.
Yeah.
People, that's how people get caught. Because, and then like some, like I know of, there was a story of a teenager who he shot, random. One of them shot into, I think he was playing with a gun or something, but he mistakenly shot at a stranger, hurt somebody. I can't remember. It was fatal shooting or so.
Ooh.
But the mom dragged him to the station. It was a black mom.
Yeah.
Black moms don't play here. They don't play. And if the parent knows this type of thing, and they're like, the ones who normally avoid, like, oh, he's just a kid, is not the black ones. It's the white ones that normally do it. That's why you have the school shootings. And then what's the first thing here? Well, it's just a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you address the problem the way it should be addressed, but the facts that I've seen so far, it's not where they know, oh, this kid is writing about, I'm going to shoot people, I'll kill kids, and all this, and then the parents see it, and like, he's just trouble. What do you think about that? As the mom, and the mom's like, oh yeah, it's just, we should go have some tea. You never lock the guns in the house. And then, I'm surprised he killed how many people? Yeah. What? And children? What? Nah, your mama gonna match you.
Yeah, they'll beat you first in the house. After beating you, then
Nigeria is even worse. But Nigeria might deport you straight.
They'll deport you. You're going to the just to play the.
They won't fix the problem though. That's the only difference with Nigeria. They won't fix it, but they'll just like, you know what? I think it's time for vacation to Nigeria. And your passport is not coming with you. They'll take your passport from you and leave you. Go and stay in village. Go and fetch water. When you fetch water, finish. You know whether you want to still shoot somebody or not. But you might go join militant group or Boko Haram.
The thing is, to be very honest, if I'm going to play a devil's advocate, I think why most people of color, especially black people, hesitate to kind of like take things further is because the system doesn't treat them fairly at the end of the day. Because two people can commit the same offense, but for the black person, they will get more time and more a heavy punishment as opposed to the other, like previously their counterparts of other races. So I can understand the hesitation because it's just like a tiny little thing. Like where you say the mom can say they can always, for example, when there like things happen like that's a troubled thing, and he says over adultification of black kids.
Yes. They
call black children men, women, but then you see like the same age and they say that's just a troubled kid. So it's the narratives as well. So it's like, okay, probably we can deal with it as a community and give this person their own punishment. I'm not advocating for vigilante justice. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just trying to provide a sort of like insight into how white people may hesitate to put it out there in the open because that person it's unfairly, they can give the person so much years, so much this, so much that, then the same person from another race may commit the same thing. And another thing is also economics. Mm-hmm. The black people will not have enough money to hire the best lawyers and stuff to like really, really present the case and make them walk away with like probably just a very fair sentence. So most black people end up with state appointed lawyers who have cases that
public defenders
and they may not do a good job. So
final thing I'll say on this topic because we spent a lot of time on it is you're on point there. However, one thing I'll add to that is that the part of the discipline thing is like I don't know if you've seen any of these old shows where it's like they take a kid to like prison and like look at say want to be a gangster, meet a real gangster in prison, the gangster come shout at teenager and that kind of thing. Those type of
I used
TV
to
shows.
Enjoy that show.
So
of course you
I
would.
loved that show. Yeah.
If you look at history, there's I'm trying to remember the title of the book, but it talked about like the crime bill that some people are trying to use against Joe Biden in the previous election, Black people supported that bill in large numbers. It's not like that's just internet nonsense that they were saying Joe Biden, it bills, Bernie Sanders supported, everybody supported it. But black people wanted something like that because of crime in the community. But when you look at that discipline thing, there was something like they wanted that type of scare tactics to exist, where you can bring, you bring the police and say, okay, like teenager did something wrong, like, okay, just come scare the teenager. All of different parents do that across communities. I'm not saying it's right to do.
I think it's part of the restorative justice thing.
You should do it,
Yeah.
but it's something that if you've seen different communities, everybody had something like that they wanted.
Yes.
However, because of this adultification of mostly black kids, not only black kids, but mostly, because our Hispanic brethren, depending on which city you're in, it happens to them a lot too.
Yeah.
And our native indigenous people of Native American descent happens to them a lot too.
Yeah.
When you bring police for that kind of thing, in many places, is handcuffs, they get charged.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that probably might be where that language of, don't snitch, because if you take that, you are trying to scare, you're supposed to be like a scared kid. Because I know somebody in real life when I was in Navy, white kid, white dude, not kid, he's a grown man. But he told me of something that he comes from money, like real money, like big money. And there was one time he did something stupid, but he was supposed to have been arrested, and they put him in the back of the police car. And the cops drove him. It was like 2 a.m. And they called his dad instead of taking him to the station. So he's in the back. He doesn't even know where he is. He's drunk and all that. And his dad shows up, and his dad is pissed. Like, why did they have to wake me up? That his dad was even like, why didn't you guys take him to the station? Should have left him in the station. But the cops were like, oh, we thought we were doing you a favor because of who you are in the community, because of the power that he represents, the person that the dad represents. And the dad was like, man, you guys should have thrown this idiot because he's a waste of money. That type of kid he is. That's why he ended up in the Navy. Yeah. And he still got kicked out of the Navy.
Oh, gosh.
And
will never learn.
This guy, when he was telling me that story, I was thinking about how many black and brown kids or whichever who've done the same thing that he did. It's not a violent crime. But as soon as they call the police, and they put you in that, you get in the back of that car. They're not calling your parents. Now, in some places, they might. But I'm not, for the majority of cases, from the examples, the stories about people who we know, that's why you're seeing cities where you have progressive politicians voted into office, which is very important to do. You are seeing them reversing laws, changing laws that have been in place forever, that you can't hold people certain things in people's records and just use to punish them for life.
Yes. Because
of incidents like that where teenagers misbehave.
Yes.
So they go, they drink, you throw stuff on a statue, founding father statue, probably had slaves or whatever, and then you call police and they lock down. Then they charge, because once they bring that kid to the station, they have to charge the kid. If that's the law of the city, the law of the state, they have to charge the kid. And if they do their job, which is part of the police reform, that you can say, okay, now you all don't have to charge all the kids you bring to the city, right? To the jail. Then that kid is in the record. But so the community has now decided, okay, do we want our kids to be in the record? We don't want them to have that record. But the kid did something terribly, because some now start applying it to the ones who did something terribly, because I'm sorry, some kids need to be arrested.
Yeah.
Not every kid needs to be arrested. And there's all that that's why it's layered. But that's where those languages start coming out, and then somebody will now come online. They just get stitches, and I'm like, "Hey, my friend, calm down. What are you talking about? You stole somebody's life savings, and then you are saying snitches get stitches. My friend, go. The other one, you shot Meg the Stallion. You're like, my friend, you had the gun. Everybody, the whole thing was clear. Bro, they you're still shouting there. Oh, my son is being treated like Martin Luther King. What Martin Luther King? Get out of here. Go to the jail. Go to prison. Go. So. People will be applying sayings for the wrong things.
Yeah.
When real people have been hurt, people without the resources have been hurt. And that's why I like, even the defund police, I stopped saying all that, I stopped using all those phrases, because it's cool to just throw the phrase out there.
Yeah.
People don't think about the human beings who've suffered the consequences.
Yeah.
There's no solution, there's nothing, just thrown us in. So anyway, let's move on to the one that the tea. I need some tea being spilled from
Tea,
your base.
okay.
So that's what Nigeria does. Nigeria
Yeah.
takes you all around the place. So I will leave
True.
Nigeria for a little bit, but I'll still come back to Nigeria. Let me see. We have to go quickly through the answers now. All right. Brexit. How has Brexit affected you guys' work?
To me, I'll just say, to be honest, to Brexit, to be honest, personally, I would just say we are seeing things in terms of rising cost of living, food and things, fuel and labor, obviously. But to be honest, speaking as a Nigerian person who is part of the Commonwealth and saying that most of the most of the recruitment into jobs overseas now is coming from Commonwealth, which Nigeria has benefited largely until our government went and snitched and say we don't want nurses and doctors living Nigeria anymore. So it kind of like
That was gonna
benefited
be a
it kind of
question.
like it kind of like benefited us, to be honest, because we had more opportunities, unlocked a lot of potential for people like us and obviously the other people from the other Commonwealth countries. Because if we are going to compare the economics, I'm talking of like real people. This is a country where people like live under a cent or under a dollar for a day. So most countries like are still in the Commonwealth that needs that kind of like push, because I'm saying this in terms of like the amount of money, in terms of like what the diasporans inject into the economy back home if they have the opportunities of working overseas. So in a way, it kind of like it's favored us, people from the Commonwealth. It favored us, but also on the flip side, it kind of like made a lot of things. It made the hardship that were expected to come from Brexit, kind of like it prolonged it, because this happened in 2016 and we are what, 2023.
Yeah.
So we're still suffering from it. But we thought it was going to be like a suffer little, enjoy forever kind of a thing, but the
Well, that's what
suffering
they
is
promised.
the suffering is being prolonged. So in terms of work wise, I tend to see more Nigerians now at work. I tend to see more Black people in senior position at work. And no matter how far I go, because I don't work in London anymore, I tend to work outside. So no matter how far I go, no matter anywhere I turn up, I see Nigerians, which is sort of in a way it can be comforting and at the same time weary, because Nigerians, my God, Nigerians just I don't want to get into working with Nigerians and things. I don't really want to get
We
into
know
that.
ourselves.
Yeah, so so in a way, it's like if you normally a place I would have been like, I'll give an example. A place I would have been like 3 years earlier, I'll definitely be the only Black person. Then coming back after that point, I see a few Black people, and most of them are Nigerians. I'm like, okay, calm. It's okay, at least, you know. But at the same time, you have to be wary as well, because we come from a competition mindset. So it's like once they've seen you there, and obviously you're not doing on the same level as them, they begin to wonder, why is this person like this? Why can't I be like that? And in a way, they can go. I'll give you an example. With this girl that set the trend for that attempted to break the Guinness World Record for cooking. So now we have somebody else doing that now.
Oh.
Someone else has started. So they didn't even let
Did that record last for a week?
She's not even been verified by Guinness. Yeah. So that's the problem I have with Nigerians. That's a personal problem.
We don't believe in
process.
You win, I win.
Yeah, and we don't believe in process.
It's
Like
I alone.
Yeah.
It must be me.
Yeah. So
York, stay behind me and push me up.
Yeah.
And cheer for me.
Yeah,
That's
and
it.
and you at the top,
We all can win together.
Yeah, I'll bring you down, and then I'll go there, because you up there, how many heads do you have? So that's the problem I have with them. One part is comforting to see them, but another part is wary as well, because you don't know if this person is coming for my job, because they will come
backstab
for
you.
Yes, they will backstab you. They're very big.
We take the capitalism to a whole. We copied the wrong thing from the American system. Just us.
So, for my own experience with Brexit, what I will say is there's a number of factors at the moment. Number one, I feel like the whole world is going through something right now.
Mm-hmm.
So to pin it down on Brexit, I don't know how much I would say is as a result of Brexit. The only thing I can say could be a result of Brexit, however, there was two sides to that. I'll give you an example. When I was studying at uni, my course was free of charge. And we got a bursary free of charge. We got our accommodation free of charge. Literally everything was free of charge. If you wanted to get student loan, that's your business, but you pay that back. But everything else was free of charge. I was lucky. So when I finished my course, and I think the set or two after me, it was the same. Then they introduced this thing where they had to pay the bursary back and all this extra stuff. They had to pay for their accommodation, which that one still happens now. So the influx of nurses, radiographers, because it was allied health professional courses that were all free. So your physiotherapists, your paramedics, your nurses, your radiographers, your biomed, I think they're also part of that umbrella, was all free. So they changed that. The government changed that. And what happened? Yeah, so the influx of the number of students that they would have normally taken over that period was low, because people are thinking, why should I pay for something when I could go do another degree and get, when I come out of that degree, I get a job that pays way more. So why should I pay for something? Do you know, is that kind of thing? So the incentive was taken away from people. So it kind of coincided where 3 years in England, 4 years in Scotland, so 3 years when they were meant to have graduated from that course, and then you now have people coming into the workforce. I think it kind of coincided during the whole Brexit thing. So a lot of Europeans went back to, like, I had colleagues at work who were from Spain who went back to Spain. I have colleagues that were from Portugal who went back to Portugal. I mean, they've started to come back slowly, but at that time they all kind of did this mass exodus. They all went back. So we then had a gap in the market where we need to recruit staff, but there's no staff because the number of students that would have graduated and filled that workforce are no longer there. So for instance, when I graduated, I'll give an example. If there was 200 in my class, for instance, I don't think there was up to that, but say there was 200 and now there's only 20. So people are retiring from, jobs in a hospital. People are changing careers as you do. When you get to a certain age, this doesn't fulfill you anymore. You think, I'm going to change my career. So you have people leaving the NHS for good or bad reasons, whatever. People die, people get sick, people change careers, whatever. So now every year we have a number of recruitments that not me, but the NHS has. And there's no one to take up the jobs because there was no one recruited went to uni over that period of all those years. So now I don't know now if it's still happening, but there was this rush recruitment of people from Nigeria, from the Philippines, from Sri Lanka. They've had to recruit all these people, which is good for those country people leaving their countries to come and earn more money and send back home as you do, But it just made that gap. So for Brexit, I will say it got to that point where the UK now didn't have their own homegrown people taking up those roles. Now you're having people to make up. Although now we're starting to have, now we're starting to have people coming from Australia, New Zealand, Portugal, but they're not as much as they used to be. So that's one part of Brexit. The number two part of Brexit, which, for that, like I said, I don't know if it's anything to do with Brexit, but it did coincide with when the university was doing all that. And then the other part is what's going on now. But then I don't know, is it 100% down to Brexit or is it 100% down to everything else in the rest of the world? There's just like a domino effect. It affects one place and it's happening to everybody.
Russia.
So COVID happened, Russia and Ukraine and everything else. So I don't know, global warming. So a lot of things aren't, so I can't say 100% this is like, I can tell you cost of living has gone up.
Yeah.
But cost of living has gone up everywhere. So I can't say this is, to say what has anything different with Brexit, I can't say this is what was different.
No, I'll tell you. I'll
Besides-
tell you. In like, for example, when you go to some shops, some shelves sit there very empty
Yeah, I've
because
been
they've not
seeing
been
videos
they've not been able
those,
to
and,
resolve the trade agreements within, because
what's his
obviously,
name? Femi. He's
yeah,
always on Femi
yeah.
something. I can't remember his last name right now.
So
Always on
I put
Twitter
that
talking about.
yeah, I put that down to Brexit, because importing food, they haven't sorted out. That's one of the things that's been, like, I would say, it has chopped a lot of prime ministers' head, because they've not been able to reach an agreement, a trade agreement that will benefit us and still benefit the EU, because the EU, obviously, the regulations they are giving the UK in terms of trade is punitive, because they're still punishing us for voting to leave.
Yeah,
So
yeah, the bad
yeah.
students on left. You jumped out the window, not even through the door.
Yeah.
So they are yet to come to an agreement. And I also think it's slow, because the plan was to move trade from the EU bloc to the Commonwealth bloc. Because obviously with the Commonwealth, there's more countries, there's more access, but there's more. But what we forgot was England is physically located in Europe, and it would be cheaper to get things from EU. So I think they're trying to walk a thin line, but obviously the Europeans are like, no, you can't eat your cake and have it. Like, if you want to go to Commonwealth, go to Commonwealth, and you cannot dictate terms to us. We dictate terms to you. If you like it, you take it. If you don't want, goodbye. So that they haven't really. That's what I think. To be honest.
No, it's a good catch there, because that point is excellent, because even with the Commonwealth, you still, when you come to the logistics and the supply chain, well, some countries are up here, some countries are down here, so you can't just make one trade deal with the whole Commonwealth. But that's for the Prime Minister, Runak, boy, to decide. But if he wants to pay me as a consultant, I'm available.
Rishi.
I can,
Rishi,
Rishi, call me. I accept pound sterling. I'll probably last with you for like 2 weeks, but pay me 1 year salary. So I have to, I don't think we have much time left, but there's one question I need to ask you, Amaka.
Okay.
You made an announcement last year on social media.
I knew it was coming.
Yes, you knew I was going to ask that. So I'm interested to know what the reactions have been to that announcement from family, from the Nigerian suspects, and the usual suspects in Nigeria. Because people always be like, woman, they always that expectation, like, once you cross the age of, you get to the age of 26, and you don't have 3 kids, and like what's going on? So that announcement seemed to have pause and sand in those people's plans. Those people have already made plans of how you'll be a grandmother already by 45, that kind of thing. So what made you comfortable enough to come out and make that announcement, and why did you feel you had the need to make the announcement? And can you let the audience know what the announcement was?
Okay, I came out as a lesbian woman last year on my social media, Instagram and Twitter, because this probably and on Facebook as well. This where, like, obviously most of my friends and extended family are. To be honest, I had a mental breakdown in the beginning of 2022. It was a very tough time. That was like a very dark time for me. But what's happened is, like, when anything happens to you, and the way you react to it is not, we don't really have new experiences. So I put that back to as a teenager struggling with my sexuality. It affected my academics, and I'm from my mom is a teacher, so so she's someone that you say, if you come first this term and your average is 78.2, and you come first second term or your average is 76 point something, she'll tell you, no, you went back because your average was so. That's how strict she was with us. But then I started suffering, and I've always, as an adult, I've always asked myself, why was it from that 14, 15, 16 years old? Why was all the subjects I was really good at? I'll give you an example. It's mathematics. I used to be 98, 99%, but as soon as I became a teenager, it started dropping. And that I realized at the point was the same time I was struggling with my sexuality. I was very, very closeted. I never saw it as a part of me at the time. I thought it was some sort of possession, because I come from a strong Catholic background, And I was thinking it's one of those evil things, temptations that come to you. So you have to pray it away. And so I struggled with it into my early adulthood. I still struggled with it. But then after I had this big breakdown, because a lot of things, if you ignore your mental health and emotional reactions and your psychological health, it just keeps getting big and big and big and big. It gets to the point where you can't handle it anymore. So coming out from the hospital, I said to myself, just say it. Just really say it. Because you've been hiding all the while. It affected a lot of my relationships. I couldn't keep relationships for a very long time. In one of my significant relationships, I always refer back to it was when obviously at the time I was like, oh, I'm woke and all this, I'm liberal, I'm polyamorous, I don't mind being in an open relationship. But that was an eye-opener for me. And in a way, even though it ended very badly, in a way, I feel it was meant to happen, because I was at the time I was seeing this same guy in an open relationship. At the same time I was seeing girls, and to him it was like he made it very, very, I don't know how to explain it. He kind of like fostered that. So that was when at the point he turned around and said to me, you enjoy being with girls. And I didn't really take that. I took that. I don't know how to explain that. It stuck with me, but I didn't really believe that until I started listening to my own body. So I just started finding out that no, I can't work with men. With men, if I end relationships with men, I don't care. But if I end a relationship with a girl, I go on like it's one of the most painful things that's happened to me in my life. All the times I've had issues is with women. So I said to myself, why are you still like, you don't need to hide this anymore? And the reason why I made the whole announcement was people were on my neck. I want you to marry my brother. I want you to marry my nephew. I had to dodge people from work. We had all these ladies from work. After doing a shift with them, they'll come, give me your number. I have this. They kept trying to introduce me. I was like, no. So at some point, I'm like, okay, even my family, because my younger sister's got 3 kids. She's married. So it's like, your younger sister's got 3 kids and she's married. Why are you still doing? So I had to say to them, okay, listen. I'm a lesbian woman. I'm saying it out now. So I don't want any. It was a shock. Some people had kind of like had a shock, but some other people who I have in my life that I had known before I actually admitted to myself, they were the ones that came in the inbox and say, yeah, that's fine. We've known all this while. And I remember you asked me, first interaction I had with you, asked me, and I kind of like wriggled out of that question. I didn't say it. I just kind of, because I wasn't comfortable at the time.
That's fine.
So yeah, but after suffering that, I kind of like decided to start paying attention to my mental health, paying attention to my physical health, paying attention to the whole body and all that. So at this point, I don't really care about people's reaction, because this is me now saying, because me not coming out was living my life according to their standards, and it didn't work for me. It never worked for me. But at this point, I've been at so much peace with myself. I've lost a number of friends, even some close friends that are acting like, in Nigerian term, like half currents, like yeah. So I before I would be so bothered, I would be like, I'll try to explain myself over, like no. I realized that the only person I own an explanation is to myself, because when I was in hospital, it was just me. When I was suffering mentally, it was just me. So why do I care what people? I've had a lot of support. I'm grateful to have Jennifer by my side, because when I'm telling you, my early 20s, I was so homophobic. It's what we call internalized homophobia.
Yeah.
And I'm happy I read about it. The day I read about internalized homophobia and I followed some people's stories, I was like, oh my God, okay. I stopped feeling ashamed, because I used to be, I didn't really come out for a long time because I was ashamed of my anti-gay stance at the time. I was very vocal about it because I was a Christian.
I can relate.
Yeah,
to
because
that.
obviously I'm like, who wants to be homo? Who wants to be a demon? I mean, I got sent for deliverance at a very young age. So I'm like, who wants to be a demon and all that? Who wants to be? So as soon as I just stopped seeing my life or the world through Christianity and patriarchal lens, I had a lot of insight. My mind was open. I was able to listen to some people. I was able to read some things. There are many, like, for example, I'll give you an example. There was this time when Rafiki came out. I think it was in 2016. So I refused to watch Rafiki because I was very, very homophobic at the time. I was like, no, but I had the interest. The day I managed to watch Rafiki, I didn't finish it because when it got to the point where they started beating the girls, I was in tears. So I didn't get myself to finish it. And what really killed me was there was a scene where one of the girls, her mom took her to the church and everybody had hands. So like, I can't. I didn't, for weeks and weeks and weeks, I paused that part. I didn't watch it until after a while, after I'd come out. It was only last year that I said, okay, I'm going to watch this film to the end.
You know, the internal homophobia. First of all, I'm glad that you came out and you said, not because you made that announcement publicly, you don't really owe the world any announcement, but that's on you to make that choice. But the reason why I'm glad is that you own your truth and you recognize your truth and you said it for you.
Do you know what's made me laugh? This was a few years ago when she was very, very homophobic. And me and her, we were going back and forth. And I remember you sent me what do they call those things? When people do, not review, like research from the 70s about homophobia being a mental health.
No, and to be honest, I and this was taught to us because I trained as a nurse previously, and in one of my psychiatric classes, homosexuality was classified as a mental illness. So imagine when I had from the church, I'm a demon, and in academic sense, I have mental illness. So who wants to be a demon and
also suffer?
I also suffer mental illness. It's
like, always remember you sending me that
and this was
journal,
me.
and I was like,
and I was refusing to see I was refusing to see any other thing. My mind was so closed.
When I say I can relate, I've seen all that in my family. I've seen all that around me.
But you've come a long way. You have come a long way.
Yes, I have.
One thing I would recommend is documentary. Just I think it's about a week or two old now on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Shiny Happy People.
Okay.
It's about the Doggers story. The guys, the Dogger family. They used to have
I've heard of them.
The reality TV show on. Watch that documentary. It's not because of the Dogger family I'm recommending. I'm saying you should watch the documentary.
Mm-hmm.
But you will see the teaching, the methods that they use to teach. When they start talking about it, you will recognize it. It will make sense to you because these are things like the guy who found the 700 Club guy.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the most evil. To me, that's one of the most evil.
And I heard about this other guy that when he comes, Rehad Bonki. You remember when he comes to Nigeria?
You know, my wife is German.
Yeah.
I've not met every time I'm about to go to Germany in 2 days. I've not still met a German who knows that guy.
No way.
Apparently, he was paying people. He was paying people, crisis actors, to.
But you're going too far. But that's going too far. That's going too far. Let's stay grounded.
Okay.
Shiny Happy People.
Yeah.
There's the Hillsong documentary. I think that one is on. I think both of them.
Yeah.
That was on Hulu. I think that might be on Disney or Star for you guys.
Okay.
In the UK or Europe. Those two deal with mega churches, the conservative Christianity. But when you juxtapose it to the Nigerian society, how we teach kids, how the schooling system and all of that, you will see it's like they just literally took stuff from them and they'll flip the skin and it's black kids that's getting it. But you will see how it just like I haven't finished documentaries, both of them. The Secrets of the Hillsong Church and the Shiny Happy People. I was watching and I was like, it makes sense now. All the stuff I was like Bible school, it makes sense because, So when I was talking one way, when I used to be this person who, when I explain to people now that I'm not like, 25, 30 years ago, these were my views.
Yes.
People are like, well, I don't say that now. I don't see how you were that type of person. It don't make sense. I'm like, it does. That's why I can, when I see them now, I can make jokes about them. I can make jokes. The only reason why I couldn't go back and be a pastor in Nigeria now is because I didn't get married early or that kind of thing. But I could still go back technically. But I'll just be laughing when I start saying these things. Like, so
You expose yourself.
because but the game is. But why I recommend these documentaries, you need to still see the damage that it's causing today, because the people who made documentaries, I don't think they realize that it's worldwide. They are talking about it more from an American point of view. And in the present terms now, you have the MAGA movement, you have all this happening.
Yeah.
But it goes deeper than that. So when I see the Pat Robertson, he died, and there were people tweeting about him, and
He's
I was
dead.
like, he died 2 days ago.
No way.
Yeah, I was like, he lived way too long.
He's dead.
Because all my childhood, he was always on TV.
Yeah, I remember
Every
700
day,
Club.
700
Yeah.
Club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if
that.
you watch 700 Club and you didn't grow up to be homophobic, there's no way you don't become homophobic if you don't watch.
And
if you
another
watch
thing
700
again.
Club. It was always on TV.
Yeah,
Every
yeah,
single day.
Yeah, with the telephone when they
Yeah.
and it was old.
Yeah.
Old.
Yeah.
back then.
Yeah.
And when you start listening, like I was a kid, I didn't understand what he was saying. But by the time you get to teenage years, young adult, and then you start saying certain things. Where have you been getting it from?
Of
You
course.
watching the guy every day.
Indoctrination.
Yeah.
You already indoctrinated into that system, and then before you even get to your church and all that. But every day you're sitting there watching this guy he's a good Christian. No, that was so. But this shiny happy people, the Secrets of the Hillsong Church. Hillsong is important because
Yeah.
the pastor was like a hip guy.
Yes.
The New York
Yes,
branch,
Australian,
people
yes,
loved
he's an
him.
Australian, yeah.
The Australian one was
Yeah.
more conservative.
Yeah.
That's the headquarters. But
yeah,
the New York
yeah.
branch was the guy who was
Okay.
more popular. He had tattoos, sexy
Wow.
body.
Yeah,
Wow,
all
they've
that.
come a long way from when I used to
Yes.
watch all
Yes.
this.
Celebrities were
Yeah.
at this, Justin Bieber, all of
Yeah,
them.
Justin
were there,
Bieber, yeah.
basketballers.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
but underground, like when I was watching it the first
Wow.
few minutes, I was like,
Wow.
well, there's like no black people in your
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
leadership.
Yep.
But
Yep.
you
That's the
attract
beef.
black youths and all
Yeah,
that. So
yeah,
there's little
yeah.
things. You see the little things. Then when it starts
Okay.
building, you're like,
Yeah.
Okay.
But it makes sense because all this is there's a literal photocopy in Nigeria right now. There's a literal copy, and then when you hear the languages that people who attend those churches use,
Yeah.
That's quite sad.
Also, just not to take you back, but another thing I just said I had to mention is I also had to do that because representation matters.
Yes.
I think what gave me the strength to actually come out was there's a blog called I've forgotten the name of the blog. It's for them lesbian and gay for Nigerians.
Oh,
So I saw
I'll be interested in that.
it's called Keto Diaries.
keto.
Yeah, Keto
How you
Diaries.
spell the keto?
KITO, Keto Diaries.
Okay.
So there was someone who came and said about how he was homophobic and he just had blah 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 blah. I think after reading that comment, I was moved so much. I left the comment on there and I was like, I used to be this person. But the thing that's helped me is I was with friends my friends were gay. Some of my gay friends, they never condemned me. They were just smiling and very patient with me. And then when I came out, they kind of like, so these are the people I still credit because when they see you, they know, and they know you're struggling because some of them have been there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if someone like me, he was so vocal, can now say, okay, guys, actually, it means another person or something, or someone in my family or someone close to me or my family friend or anybody, I know I'm not saying that I'm not privileged because of my location and obviously my independence. I can say this and thrive. I know some people it's life or death for them.
True.
But it's just if I can finally say the truth. I've had some of my classmates message me saying to me, oh, how did you know you were gay? I've known I was gay since I was 8 years old, for God's sake, but I thought it was an evil thing. So it's like, fine, you've seen me, I exist, and look at my journey. So even when sometimes I remember I was like, should I go back on Twitter and delete all my things? And Jenny said to me, no, it shows progression of mind. And this was a conversation I had with her many years ago. So I'm happy I didn't do that. And sometimes when Facebook reminders come up, I'm like, oh my God, look at what I was thinking. So it makes me give grace to other people. I no longer fight people who are homophobic. Once they are homophobic, I say to them, I hope you know I'm gay. And they're like, yes, we know, but I'm like, no, you can't separate it. If you're my friend and stuff, You cannot do that. But I'm not going and say, why are you being homophobic? Why? No, it's because of my own experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Final thing I'll say on that is the Facebook, the old messages, the old tweets.
Yep.
It's a tricky place because of how vindictive
Yeah.
social media can be.
Yeah.
There are people who I don't believe cancel culture. I don't believe in cancel culture
Yeah.
because the only people who can actually cancel culture per se are the government and corporations.
Yeah.
Individuals we cannot really, but all I've seen is vindictive use of something like that. Like I use the example of the former woman who was made I think she was the first black woman to be editor of Teen Vogue, and people brought out tweets that she made when she was a teenager, and this you type of thing to her, like this is what you were tweeting, but she was a teenager, and she was now when she was appointed, she was about late 20s, going 30s, but they were bringing up tweets from when she was like 15, 16.
That shows the immaturity of those people.
But the heat was so much, but these were not children bringing that up, and this included black people, black men. But now it's like once they see black men, then the rest can jump in and say, "Oh, it's not racism if a black person leads the attack."
Yeah.
And in the end, she had to resign. The company stood by her, but she was like, "The heat is getting too much, so I'm going to just step away." But they tend to use it against women, from what I've noticed. Like the ones who are like, "Oh, Beyonce used this word, which is against in this country. It's an insult to." People, disabled people. Well, not everybody knows that word in the whole world.
True.
So you need to apologize, that kind of thing. But you don't see them do that to the male rappers. You don't see them do that to other people. But it's like that selective outrage.
Yeah,
I think
is applied to certain people. So, but why I'm bringing that up is because it's like the more you're doing good, then there's one point in time. It's like once you're about to take a certain big step, then some people will just go, she tweeted this in 2015.
Yeah, but it's different.
Attack.
It's different because she was homophobic, and now everybody knows she's gay.
Yes,
so
but
it's
the same
a
people,
different.
they all made a change at one point in time. There's no grace on internet on Twitter. There's none.
And for me, I say the whole point is people have given these people leverage, and people always apologize. What are you apologizing for? I don't get it. Because when you give people that power, then they'll use it against you. If I've tweeted something from years ago and it's not my views today, but the thing is, sadly, I'm not saying this is, in the perfect world, but sadly, the world we live in today, people are disgusting. People are jealous. People are just out for everybody.
People are miserable.
Exactly.
They're looking for a lynching. It's a virtual lynching.
It's like when Kevin Hart had that opportunity to host the Oscars.
The Oscars,
and the tweets came out.
I was one of those who was wrong because then I was in the mobile.
But this is my thing. I always feel like when I said to Chimaka, no, don't delete what you've written because it shows who you are. Like, for instance, I used to be, before I was atheist, Roman Catholic as well. And I remember I used to be on Facebook.
Somebody writes it right now. How dare you? I just buy my t-shirt and burn it. Buy the sticker, burn it off. Buy something first.
So, but you see, I was one of those people that was, if you're not Roman Catholic, if you're not Christian, you're burning in hell. Yes. Plain, simple, end of, no discussion. That's how it is. And I remember being atheist a few years ago because I haven't been on social media since 2019. So I remember this was before 2019. I went on Facebook and I was thinking, when did I become atheist? Because it was all, it's like your thing, when did I become atheist? But because I went back to my Facebook and I remember the first post I posted as an atheist, that was when I knew, 2012, I was atheist. But the thing is what I'm saying, going back to Chemaka, sometimes it just shows that pivot in your life, that point in your life, and then when you look at everything else, the big picture, what was going on in my life, what was that catalyst, what was the reason. So when people come and use that against you, I think people need to say, hang on a minute, that was me then, this is me today. I'm not that same person. I've grown. I'm a better person. For me to be that person and be who I am now shows you the kind of person that I am. And people give power to all these social media people that don't deserve it.
Well said. I agree on that. I agree on that. Like the show Beef. I don't know if you watched the show Beef.
No.
Yes, is that the one with the Asian American
Yes,
woman and man that hit the
Korean,
car?
yeah.
Yes, that was
Great
good.
storytelling.
That was really
I
good.
love it.
Yes.
And are you aware of the controversy that?
No, I'm not on social media, so I have no idea what.
You're perfect.
I just watched it.
You know what?
My friend recommended me to watch it, so I watched it.
We need to set up because I have on Patreon. We did a discussion on beef, myself and my friend Ashwin. But I need to get you back to do a discussion with you. We'll do it. It'll be virtually, and that will be because social media. There are people. One of the cast, the cousin who was in prison.
Yeah, the big guy.
Yeah, the big guy. Yeah. So the guy who plays that role, David Cho, years ago, he had tweeted something. Well, not tweeted. He had a podcast, and on his podcast, he's one of these edge lords.
What's that?
There's the guys who like to make jokes that like on the edge.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Like
you mean like dark jokes?
Dark, but it's like
dark
really
humor.
dark. So
I like dark humor, so probably I wouldn't be.
Well, I don't think his joke was funny though. His joke was about, he claimed, because he was with a comedian who likes actual dark jokes, and he claimed he raped. It was sexual assault. He literally described of a black woman, of a masseuse who it seemed was a black woman.
That trended on Twitter.
But it was he was joking.
Oh, he joked about it.
Yeah, that
it was a joke he was trying to make.
I remember,
which was in poor taste. And he apologized the next day, and then years later somebody brought it up, it trended again, and then he apologized and he said he was having some mental issues, he has gone to seek help, he's like taking a break and he's going to seek help and all that. So it's been like years back, right? 2014.
Mm-hmm.
He's an artist. He does paintings and some stuff. He has a big thing with Facebook and other companies. And so when he shows up to do some work, people will still come up with like, he hates black women and all this thing.
God, get over yourself.
So now Beef is announced. They've announced the cast, all that. There was no problem. The show hits number 1 on Netflix. Mm-hmm. People are like, this show is the best show of the year, not this. And then slowly but steady.
Of course.
So you're going to support a show where this guy hates black women? You didn't even say he hates black women. Mm-mm. And from there, so I had to ask somebody who's actually Asian and from that community who tweets about Hollywood and all this, and who was celebrating Beef before this came up, and he was like, this guy needs to, he didn't even apologize properly. And he was like, okay, what is your end goal? I'm just interested. What is your end goal? What will satisfy you? Where he did not apologize properly. I'm like, okay, I don't know what apology he's going to make that will
draw blood,
that maybe will satisfy you.
Yeah, maybe draw blood.
What is your? He's like, okay, well, I'm glad you're asking, but look, it's not up to me anymore. It's up to the women he raped. What women?
He didn't rape anybody. He just made a joke.
The cast came out. The cast had to come out and make a statement and said they've known this guy. They are proud of the work he has done to fix his mental health, and that's what they stand by him.
I think what needs to happen.
And they started attacking out of the cast. They zeroed in on the woman. And I always tell you, that's why I always bring it back to, it's always the woman it tends to end up with.
Yeah.
And it was the woman. She should have held him, like, oh, go and grab him by the throat. How dare you, this. And it's always, because you can see it slowly, and it doesn't matter if the person's on the right or on the left, but they slowly start zeroing in on the woman. And some don't even realize they're doing it because they're so in that anger, and they start doing it. And so when I asked the guy now said, oh, it's up to women, whatever the women decided. I said, well, are you saying sexual assault only happens to women?
Yeah, exactly.
And so people started, and it was like, by my questioning, the thread changed because everybody had been like, yeah, he ain't apologized enough, F this guy and all this and all that. And then somebody was like, as soon as I asked my question, people were like, yeah, so, yeah, what do you want him to say? What is exactly are the words he needs to apologize with that will be satisfactory for you?
Appease you people.
At the end, it's like, oh, but if he takes his life right now, check on your friends.
I know, be kind.
Check on your friends. And
this is what I'm saying. This is like a bottomless pit.
It's not real.
You can never fulfill. These people are, I don't know. They're just one of the reasons why I'm happy that I'm not on social media, because I don't get to see that. That is not in my daily life, and maybe that's why I'm so happy. I don't know.
I think what is cancel culture, but I think gradually people are moving away from cancel culture and now looking more into context. Because normally, for example, in the past, if we say 3-4 years ago, his cast wouldn't have come out to say we stand with him, where they would have been, everyone would have been like cancel culture. But now people are kind of like sifting through the whole thing and saying, hang on, what happened, what was the context, what was this like, the difference between now and then. So this question, but the thing that cancel culture prevents is having a conversation from the other side and trying to see where the other side is coming from. They just like, if you are not
call
this,
it cancel culture.
If
To
you
be
are not this,
honest,
cancel.
it's not even cancel
So-
culture, because at the same time, beef. Since Netflix does everything in one time, in one rollout,
Yeah.
the show called Succession was up on what's going on, and that's like they call it like the best show. I haven't watched Succession, but I know I believe it's one of the best shows, because people whose opinions I rate love that show, but it's a majority white cast. Now, do we have some problematic people in there? Hell yeah.
Probably we do, yes.
Now, if you want to do that, use that same parameter of, let me pick, this person said this or did this, you can apply to 3 or 4 people in that cast. But whenever that show is number 1, you don't get anything trending from there. Swarm hits number 1 on Amazon Prime. Donald Glover hates black women. It starts to trend. So you start to see it. It's like when people of color have something like, it's certain, if a black woman, Beyonce, has a track that's hot, it goes up, then that controversy comes out. It's like a black person has a show that's number 1, controversy comes out. Asian American has a show number 1, controversy has to come out.
Do you think it's
Divide and conquer kind of thing.
What I'm trying to say,
In
do you
terms of
think
PR.
it's like for instance, if this is my show, that's your show, that I'm trying to throw dirt on your show to squash your show, and do you think it's not in-house, I mean like within the industry, that is send all these people to, rather than
I don't know.
actual
I've
people
seen
starting all
some
this?
people I've seen that conspiracy theory going around. I don't know, but I just know that, I started noticing this trend from Black Panther when it came out and everybody was celebrating, and you see that one person,
Even the
released
Woman
an
King as
article
well. The Woman
saying,
King.
well, if this movie was not historically good enough for me, the Woman King, you saw that, that was when I was on Clubhouse, and I had to get into a debate with somebody who's the teacher, and he was like, well, for me to like this movie, it had to be 100% historically accurate. And I said, okay, let me give you 3 movies and tell me if you like them. Do you like Gladiator? Yes. Do you like I called another 2
Passion of Christ as well.
I never watched that movie, but I know everybody liked it. I think I was very beginning
Passion
to
of Christ was a
but
white person.
the whole
so,
bunch, all movies with white people.
Yeah.
The Revenant, I gave Revenant.
Yeah,
I gave. I've forgotten which other. I forgotten the third one, but I gave him 3 movies.
Yeah.
But The Godfather. Yeah, I think The Godfather.
Yeah.
I was like, you like those 3? Hell yeah, I do. So were they historically accurate?
Great. Thank you.
Why is that when it's a white cast, white star? You don't bring that. It has to be historically. If you want historically accurate, go read a book.
Yeah.
Go
Or watch
do
a
documentary.
Yeah.
The movie is to entertain you. Did the
Thank
movie
you.
entertain you?
Thank
yes
you.
or no?
Thank you.
Well,
Thank
she it's not Viola. They're not. Well, it should have been. I'm like, you need to pause and ask yourself, why do I have this internal anger going on? There's something you need to solve within you. This movie is not going to fix it. No movie is going to fix it. But it only comes out when you see a black movie or an Asian cast, or it only comes out when you see people of color and they are doing, oh, I love this, but I can't say I love it because that woman was not smiling enough. And you just find one. So that it always happens. And at the moment I started noticing that, I'm like, I'm not wasting my time with you guys.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. So I just push them away.
Because tomorrow there will always be another story coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Stories never end.
Oh, yeah. So, anyway, we need to start wrapping up. Appreciate you guys giving me. We went overboard. And shout out to Josh, who let us go extra.
Thank you.
So, last time you guys gave me cuisine, but it was still Nigerian, But I just need to check out cuisine. Your favorite, what's your favorite London cuisine that's not Nigerian?
Okay. I think probably I'll go for Thai food.
Thai food will winning on this podcast. And Thai food is legit.
Thai food, yeah.
Okay,
You have a particular dish?
Yeah, I love their special fried rice. It comes with cashew nuts in it.
Oh, okay.
And
I've
bits
had
of
that one.
pineapple is delicious.
You should go to Chinatown in Queens. There's one here in Brooklyn, not far away from here.
Okay.
But as soon as you walk there, it's going to be like you travel to somewhere in Asia.
Okay.
The air just changed. I don't know if this red sky changed the whole thing now, but yeah, because you have more authentic Asian food there.
That's nice. That's nice to know.
I'm not a fan of Thai food.
Oh,
I'll
it's
eat
your
it.
favorite
I'll
food.
eat it,
Your,
but
what's
I'm
yours?
not
What's
crazy
your
about
favorite
it.
food? Your favorite London cuisine?
I don't have. It depends on my mood. I don't have a
right
favorite thing.
Right now, we need to know what's Jenny's favorite London cuisine at this moment.
Chachas.
Oh, well, that's only because they do nice hot wings. That's why.
That she always goes chachas. She
No,
goes
okay.
like-
I'll tell you what it is. Yeah, because in London there's a chicken and chip shop, burgers and stuff,
Oh,
and
chicken and chips. I'm used to
yeah, it's
fish
really
and chips.
good. However, because I tend to work outside of London, so when I come back home to London, everywhere else their hot wings are not that nice. So I'm like, oh, I have to eat because what I've been eating is rubbish. Let
Watch
me eat
out,
correct
Molly's Chacha is coming for you.
But normally, if I was to have a takeaway, like, oh, I'm hungry, I need to eat something, I would love to have a Chinese.
Yeah.
That's another one that, yep, can't go wrong with both.
Yeah, because the thing is, Indian's good, but you can never.
Yeah.
It's hit or miss.
It's hit or miss.
It's hit or miss.
People
with
can't
Indian.
cook it properly. So
You have to have your spots. That's why you have to have your guy. You have a guy.
Still haven't found one though.
What?
Yeah.
No,
Still haven't
you
found
keep
one.
searching. You know?
I need to.
I can call one of my guys. He's from Nottingham.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that would count. So, yeah, but he's been in New York for like forever. So I don't know if that even counts. So he might be more New York than UK anymore. But he's a good listener of the podcast, and he still needs to come on. By the way, that's his invite. A reminder to him. So last time you guys were on the show, you guys started a trend that I didn't realize would happen to me.
What?
You guys are responsible for most of my playlist having a lot of Amapiano. My Amapiano, like, I had my birthday just last month, and everybody was like, "Wow, this playlist is good," but there was a lot of Amapiano, and Josh can testify, But
Hope you liked it.
none of the Afro beats you gave me, I didn't take today. I was like, they're all right. But I hate the Afro beats word. And after this election, I can't start canceling Afro beats. Like, get out.
Okay.
So, Amapiano is the way to go. And I love Amapiano. I love all the artists.
Yeah.
So, any updates to your music tastes?
Yeah.
Me, I've gone now strictly to Afro electro, Afro techno,
Afro.
deep house. And yeah, I've just moved away from
What?
Yes.
How can you divorce? Is that possible?
This is like an emerging genre, and we have loads and loads of DJs, but mostly predominantly South Africans. That's why you get most of the good
South
sounds.
Africans again.
Yes.
So
but
wait,
it's like.
Are you
niche.
sure it's not this same genre you were giving me, but you just called it Amapiano?
No.
No, Amapiano
it's
is quite
different.
different.
So you said Afro techno, Afro electro.
Yeah,
and
deep house.
Deep house,
Yeah.
okay.
Afro house.
I'm writing it
Afro
down.
house and deep house.
All right, that's my playlist about to be fire.
Yeah.
My kid's birthday gonna be there. When I didn't put this song on my playlist.
I'll
she
send
picks
you a
all the songs.
playlist. I'll send you a
please
playlist,
do.
and then you can grow your thing from
Yeah,
there.
bro, there. I might start my
Yeah.
DJ business. I got good rates. I give you discounts depending on how much food and merchandise you buy from me. But yeah. So, any artists I should look out for?
Lura.
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 No,
Okay.
that's Lura. Lura is Lura is
Not in the Afro bit. I'm talking
yeah.
about a different kind of
No.
artist to
Yeah.
look out for.
Yeah, for
for
the
Afro
Oh,
techno.
for that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Electro
Looking
deep
at the
house.
best
Oh,
person
sorry.
to
We're
go
still
is
on-
DJ Shimza.
I'm 10
DJ
steps ahead.
Shimza.
And on YouTube, you look for Kunye Records.
Kunye Records.
Kunye
That
Records.
sounds Nigerian.
No, that's Shimza's outfit. That's where the most people grew up from. And then just check that. You get most of the hits. Yeah, and they have like playlists. They have like mixes. So,
Okay, that's why I got YouTube Premium.
Yeah,
Flexing on the piece.
yeah.
All right. So, final. Let's get to the final stuff. What's your takeaway from life that you want to leave the audience with?
Just don't keep a closed mind to anything. Don't have a closed mindset to anything. Be open. Be open to experience. Be open to feel. Be open to learn. And be open to grow. Growth is painful, but accept it. Once you get to that part of the growth, you don't feel the pain anymore. Just be open to feel, learn, experience, and grow.
Oh, some philosophical stuff.
What I'll say is don't take life too seriously. When things don't seem to be going your way. Don't keep saying why is things never going my way? Why me? Why?
Don't sing the band.
Why me on?
That's a good
You
one.
did try me on.
Yeah, just go with the flow of life. Like, just don't take it too seriously, because anything could happen tomorrow, and enjoy each moment, each day. If the sun is out, just go out and enjoy the sun. Even if you sit outside your house, just sometimes being in your room is comforting. It's, sometimes you just don't want to leave, but just standing in the shower and let that water touch you can do so much miracle for you. So yeah, life is, if you think life is over, it's not. Life is never over until you're dead. It's never, ever, ever over.
True.
And yeah, good luck to whatever everyone else is doing.
Alrighty. So, do you have anything you would like to plug in?
Not really. It's still Black Boudica, but since Palo Sessions has been on hold, so I'm just planning something very different. So hopefully, if you still stick with me on Black Boudica media on Instagram, I'm trying to do this diversify your playlist where I incorporate Afro Latin music, from Portuguese, Creole, Brazil, Cabo Verde, and Portugal, Black people from other parts, not just here. Yeah. So I try to say diversify your playlist. I'm mostly like women. Like the one I'm listening, I found out was Fatoumata. Is beautiful woman from I think she's forgotten where she's from. I just ran into her. Yeah,
sounds familiar.
Yeah, so just diversify your playlist. Check out other Black people from other parts of the world. You'll find one thing or the other that you will love. Yeah.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
So Jenny, got any plugin?
No, not right now. Maybe in the future, who knows? But for now, no. Just me, myself, and I.
Don't worry, I gotta check.
Thank
all right,
you.
audience. Thank you all for staying with us. Come back for another episode next week, and don't forget to keep supporting us. Keep the love coming in. 5 stars. Buy the merch. Even if you want to protest, that's fine. Burn the merch. That's okay. But first, buy it first. All right. Do the good stuff. Be good. Be awesome. Thank you for the privilege of your company.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to White Label American. If you enjoyed the show, please give a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. You can follow the show on all social media platforms. Visit the White Label American website for links for donations, episodes, feedback, guests, merch, and newsletter. Don't forget to download the free White Label American app on the Google Play Store and Apple coming soon. Thank you for the privilege of your company.